Good evening and welcome to the programme. Labour has called for an urgent investigation into alleged racial discrimination in the private rented property sector. It follows a BBC London investigation which exposed that some estate agents were prepared to carry out landlords' requests, selecting and vetoing potential tenants by race. Guy Lynn has the story.
Protests this afternoon in Willesden, where some letting agents exposed by the BBC are based.
Shut them down!
Such is the strength of feeling here about those prepared to bar African Caribbean people from renting on a landlord's request.
It's against the traditions and values that we've built up in this borough, and it won't be tolerated.
Secret filming by Inside Out revealed 10 estate agents who said they'd be happy not to let flats to black people.
99% of my landlords don't want Afro-Caribbeans.
Without openly advertising it that, no Afro-Caribbeans allowed, we would obviously, understand that it's not available.
And then those who did it in practice. We put it to the test with a black and white researcher and a flat that we put on the market. Here, at this agency, the white researcher tries to get a viewing.
Ready for Tuesday.
OK.
Is that OK?
Tuesday's fine, yeah.
But when our black researcher asks to view the same flat, definitely still available...
I'm afraid that's already gone.
It's already gone?
Yeah.
Do you know if there's going to be any viewings at all?
No, it's already gone.
It's just gone?
Yeah.
These agents never explained why they said they'd discriminate. This one who actually did never responded. And this one who did discriminate as well said he'd been asked to do so by a landlord. Labour is calling for urgent action.
This kind of behaviour was outlawed, nearly 50 years ago, but to find discrimination of that sort going on in London is really shocking, and that's why I wrote yesterday to the chair of the Equalities and Human Rights Commission to ask for an urgent investigation.
And the worrying question, if we found it in parts of West London, where else?
And Guy's here now, and that is a good question because this investigation has provoked understandable shock and condemnation.
Yeah, I think that is the case. I mean, over the last day since we ran the piece, we've had a lot of shock. I mean, and not so much shock at the fact that it's going on. I think more shock at the fact that we've exposed that it's, the kind of things those estate agents were saying. It's so blatant, and we've got more condemnation coming through today as well. We've had the Association of Residential Letting Agents saying that the practices uncovered are reprehensible. We condemn them in the strongest possible terms. We've had the Housing Minister saying, Chris Hopkins saying it's totally unacceptable. The Shadow Housing Minister, Emma Reynolds, saying it's shocking, sickening and illegal. And now this, as you saw in my report, the Shadow Communities Secretary saying he's deeply upset and calling for an urgent investigation with the Equality and Human Rights Commission.
Calling for an investigation is one thing, but what will it or can it actually do?
Yeah, I mean, good question, because if you think about the kind of practices that we've uncovered, they're incredibly subtle in some respects. They're going on underneath the radar. The kind of things the estate agents were saying, to their potential clients, they were trying to fob off. We say it's gone. We don't call you back. All those kind of things, really, really hard to prove. If you might not even know they're going on at all in the first place. So I think the government would argue that the answer is in their redress scheme. They're going to bring in a redress scheme, which means that all letting agents in the future will face more scrutiny by the Ombudsman. At the moment, it's voluntary for them. But when you talk to the letting industry themselves, many of them are calling for tougher regulation, for the making it mandatory for estate agents like the ones you saw in the film to join organisations like the Association of Residential Letting Agents. At the very least, if they did that, they could potentially be kicked out. And then finally, activists from charities I've spoken to say, no, that's not the answer at all. The answer is education. I think what's for sure is since our report, I've had we've had calls, we've had emails from landlords and letting agents, not just in London, but from other parts in the country as well. And they're all saying it's going on in our areas as well. So I think, what we've exposed in this report could be the tip of an iceberg.
OK, thank you. Guy Lynn there. Thanks very much. Plenty more ahead tonight.